Hi, Elaine Marolakos Edelson here. Welcome to Astrology Mojo, and I want to help you get your mojo back. So, if you are not familiar with me, you may not know that I say that the planets in astrology, they don't make you do anything. We live in a cooperation with the cosmos so that when the planets make a move, you feel it. When you make a move, it's reflected by way of aspects and angles in a chart, in an astrological chart. So, it's time to take back your power and we need to upgrade definitions. This is about 5D transformational astrology and how to use it to ignite your intuition so that you can start making the choices that are more conscious that bring you to the results that and desires that you want. And that is the whole point of being on this earth. Hey Rhonda. Hey Latanja. So today's an open forum. If you have any questions about metaphysics, how energy works, alchemy, maybe some crystals, we can learn together if I don't know the answer. And your intuition, how to tap into things, how to utilize the planets to help you get somewhere. Maybe it's about the meanings of the planets and how we can look at the upgrade of these things instead of the old definitions that may not apply to you anymore if you are becoming aware and more conscious of your choices and your outcomes, because this is a causal universe. And so you think it, you feel it, you attract it. That's how it works. So a lot of times we get into a car accident and we say, oh my gosh, that person ran a stop sign. And yeah, and they did. And I remember being in a car accident just like that. An old lady ran a stop sign and totaled me into a big tree. And, but I also take responsibility for my energy. I was on a road going in the complete opposite direction of my intended destination because I was spacey and I was overwhelmed and I was not grounded. So what was I doing on that road anyway? Yeah. Right. So when you have a vibration in you that resonates a frequency, you will find a match to that. You will attract that to you. So people, and I'm not saying that anybody is right or wrong in their actions, never, ever, ever. It is, how are you feeling? What's going on? What are you thinking, but you're not acknowledging down here? What are you acknowledging emotionally, but you're not correlating it to intellectual properties that you have, right? Oh my God. So Latanya says, oh, hi, Lucy and Stacy. Hey, welcome. Your thoughts on Moldavite? Okay. Wow. You slept with yours? Were you flying? You must have been like, superhuman strength. I remember the first time I had a Moldavite and you got to make sure that they are authentic, and there's ways to do that. Google that. Because the Moldavite energy is very galactic. It is very extraterrestrial. So it can, and everyone will react differently to different energies and properties. But, and where is my Moldavite? Here it is. Ba-ba-da-ba. I had 2 bats on top of my chicken in dream. Okay. Who's fending off? Who's the predator? And who is the squawking chicken? Okay, here's my Moldavite. And this is about, let me see, because I used to sell crystals a million years ago. Let's see. It's about 30. I've owned it. It's not 30 years old, but I've owned it for a little bit more than 35 to 40 years. Something like that. And this Moldavite, I used to carry in my pocket when I worked at a newspaper. And when I first got it, I always meditate with a stone, no matter what anything says, like, oh, here's the stone, like chaurite is for your intuition and, help you feel less anxious. Well, I don't know. Maybe that's what it does for you, but I want to know what it does for me. So I do my own experiments, and I hold a stone in my hand and I meditate with it and make sure nothing's crossed. My knees aren't crossed. My ankles aren't crossed. My arms aren't crossed. And I get very quiet and I just feel the vibration. And then I play with it. I might wear it, or if it's jewelry, or I might put it in my pocket or my purse, or I'll keep it on my desk when I'm writing. And some things I cannot have on my desk when I'm writing because I get distracted. So it's not meant for that, right? So when I first had the Moldavite, I had it in my pocket. I worked in a newspaper, and literally, I felt like I was moving at the speed of sound. I was working at a drafting table. I worked in the layout department, and I was working at a drafting table, and there was a lamp over there that someone had passed by. And this is happening simultaneously. I'm telling you this, in sequence, right? But it happens simultaneously. I'm working, and I've got an X-Acto blade, and I'm cutting up copy. And there's a lamp over here. Somebody walks by, and on the right, there was a pile of papers that were, meant for the editor, and they were about to fall because this person walks over here. I catch that falling. I reach out over here to catch the paper, and then the lamp is falling, and then I went like that. And then the guy behind me turned around and he said, "Oh my God." He said, you just like move so fast. I couldn't blink. And so I was like, wow, I felt like I was on caffeine, like a high. That was my Moldavite experience. Now it's tamed down. It's more, we've worked together. So I could feel it now activating like parts of my brain. So I'm just going to put it down because, yeah, I don't want to leave my body right now. So I hope that helps, Latanja. So play with it. Moldavite can be a very activating kind of an energy. And I recommend things like, and I don't have them on my desk because they're all over the house. But anyway, smoky quartz is not something, or tourmaline, black tourmaline, or smoky quartz, or a certain hematite. You would not want to sleep with these things because they ground you and you're not able to fly. So, do a little research when you get some crystals. I hope that helps. Okay. So, hi, Terry. Does manifestation and also imagining a psychic protection work if we're not a psychic? You are psychic. Everyone is psychic. You were born with that ability. And the only reason why you think you're not psychic is because you think you're not psychic. Okay. The only reason why is because you question what your intuition is doing and you're not tuning in. Because if you were to do in my Bodhi system, Minutes to Intuitive Mastery, it's a program that I have created a few years back, but so it looks a little dated, but it's really great info. And in it, here's a simple exercise that I will pass along to you. You get some cards, a playing deck, just a regular black and white playing deck, black, white, red playing deck of cards. And it says not about getting it right. It's not to train your intuition. It is not, and I'll answer your question in a second, but I just want to segue to this, Terry. It's not about getting it right, but if you have, and I don't have a playing deck of cards, I just have these oracle cards, but let's just say this is a playing deck of cards. And I put my hand on top and I close my eyes and I think, oh, red. Oh, definitely red. Or maybe the number 4 or, whatever. And I pick it up and it's the opposite color and it's a completely different number. And I go, oh man, I'm so not psychic. Okay, that's not the point of the exercise. The point of the exercise is to determine how you are getting your information. Big aha, I hope. Okay, are you clairvoyant? Do you see it through your third eye? Are you clairaudient? Do you hear it? Are you clairsentient? Do you smell it? Do you taste it? So you want to know how you're getting your information. And this is an exercise I would have my kid do. They're going to be 23 now, but in the house when the friends would come over and they'd all sit around and go, oh, what are we doing? I go, I have something we could do. And they'd be like, oh, this is so fun. And I go, okay, close your eyes. Is it, I'm holding up a card. Is it red or black? And they would go, red or black. And then one of them would not be correct. They go, oh, no. And I go, no, but how did you get it? And they were like, oh, I actually saw something. I saw something here. And I go, that's called clairvoyant. That means you can see in your mind. And they were like, oh, so it's not about getting it right or wrong. Okay. So train your intuition by doing that. And then once you know how you get it, stay tuned to the very next time you start to feel something, smell something, taste something, hear something, see something in your mind. get a blip, get a feeling. Okay, because you're being given information. We're all streams of energy, folks. So when we tap into any stream, we can go, oh, wow, I'm thinking of my grandma. And then the phone rings. And you're like, I was just thinking about you. I must be psychic. Yes, you are. Okay, now does manifestation, also imagining a psychic protection, work if we're not a psychic? If you want to manifest something, you start with, uh, I am an extension of the light. I exist here, now, everywhere. And I only allow what is beneficial to enter my life right now. Now, there are so many levels and layers to expectations and people's experience that they think, oh, I say that. I only allow what is beneficial to enter my life right now. And so only, chocolate and roses and diamonds are going to come my way and opportunity. No. You know what's going to come? Whatever is beneficial to your growth. And if your growth is, I need to get over my defensive behavior, someone's going to come and tap on that and push that button. And you're going to say, hey, I said my little invocation of I only allow what's beneficial to enter my life. And here comes somebody and, they always get on my nerves. Well, why do they get on your nerves? So when you start to heal that, it's like, well, because they make me feel this, they make me feel that, they make me feel this. Nobody makes you feel anything. You feel it because you feel it. And if you're feeling it with that person, you want to ask yourself, who do they remind me of? Oh my gosh, that person reminds me. Oh, you know what? That person reminds me of my Uncle Jim. And Uncle Jim always used to make fun of me and I always got defensive with him. Wait a minute. That person, because it's never about the outside world, folks. They just validate what you're vibing. That's it. So if you want to manifest something, and by the way, consciously is what I mean, because you look at your life, you've already manifested everything that's in it. You did that. Yeah. High five. Even if you don't like what you see, you manifested that. That's called power. Now, to manifest consciously, well, I think if you take your time and feel what you're feeling before you enter a situation, or I remember, oh my gosh, and I'm not naming names, okay? But I remember when I first met someone many, many, many years ago, I did not know how to be with this person. And this person was condescending. And this person was part of the family. And this person was hard to get close to. And this person was not accessible emotionally. But when I first met them, I would say 30 years ago, I just got flustered and I would go home and I would obsess about, well, they did this or they said that, or why would they do that? I think they did that as a jab. Are they mean? Would they, so I had to, and it was constant and it wasn't just like once and done. It was little things sprinkled through the conversation when no one else was around. And then I would say, did that just happen? Because I'm sure like you, never expect people to be nasty or cruel or condescending or rude, right? So it's a shocker when it happens. But then I realized it took me a little over a year. Okay. Yeah. It took me a little over a year to realize that I was feeling insecure around this person because I wanted them to know me and like me. But that wasn't going to happen. So I finally came to a place of power with this person where I literally was no longer bothered by their actions. Because then, in my own power, I would just make comments or set boundaries to counteract their actions or their words, and they would back off. And I don't mean in an argumentative way. I would just say, yeah, I don't agree with that. Or, oh, that's an interesting statement, but you say it and then you walk away. So I'm not sure what you want from me. So I'm just validating what the person is doing without creating an argument. As an example, they had a child that was kind of out of control. And they came over to me once at a function, and their kid is just like wreaking havoc all over the place. And this person sits down next to me and says, "I'd like your opinion on that behavior." And I'd say, "Sure." And then they got up and said, "But not right now." I was like, okay. Shall I wait for the post to come? Are you going to send me a letter? Well, and I never, it never came out again, or it's, "Oh, wow. Yeah, you're kind of homely looking, aren't you?" Like, what did you just say to me? And then I just, and then I laughed. I laughed because when I became into power for myself, it wasn't a competition. And I realized this person had some deep emotional stuff going on. And it wasn't about me. And I didn't care if they liked me or not. I was just going to be me. So Terry says, "Oh, like it's about our own growth to achieve our better self." That's interesting. Yeah, because if you come across someone in your world that is antagonizing you, or and remember, this is all about vibration. This is all about vibration. Let me plug in my kid's toy from many years ago. Is it on? It's on. Okay. This is all about vibration. Okay. This is you. How does that work? Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So when you have a vibe that is pulsing a frequency, you will attract a similar vibe or the exact opposite. Okay, does that make sense? You will attract a similar vibe or the exact opposite. So you meet somebody and you're picking out a book at a bookstore or at a swap meet or something, and you see this book and you go, "Oh, wow, I really like this book on crystals and fossils or dreams or, how to plant a garden." And somebody's standing by and they go, "Oh my gosh, I remember I had that book once. Wow." And then you start talking, you feel like simpatico, like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool." And it doesn't mean it has to become like a lifelong friendship, but you have this connection that you make energetically, right? And then you meet someone else who you just feel them coming, and you're on your guard, you're annoyed, it's disturbing how they react, how they talk to you, how they look at you, how they and they can set you off axis if you're not stabilized emotionally. Because if any of these people in your life that does not feel complementary to you, then they remind you of a vibration that just doesn't sit well with you. And it can be, they remind me of, how my mom used to talk to me when I was upset. "Stop crying. What are you crying about?" And then this person is dismissive of you when you're emotional. So that brings you back, right? It brings you back to feeling vulnerable or inadequate. Or sometimes you just hear a sound, like when I hear a motorcycle drive down the block. Oh, oh, I mean, I said to my husband once a long time ago, that sound, and the guy who was driving down the block, it was like a big, like, biker. And it was like, vroom, vroom. I mean, and the guy kept going and going and going, and then took off down the street. And I said, that is what a menstrual cramp feels like right there. That sound, but it's constant for 5 days or whatever. Right. So sometimes there's just a frequency that doesn't sit well with you, and it can throw you off axis. Does that make sense? It is about your growth. So when you come across a person who you don't know, you bump into at the market, it doesn't matter, and you just aren't jiving, you can just step back and relax your body. Number one, just relax your body and say, "Okay, I honor your existence." That's what namaste means. From my divinity to yours, I honor you. I don't have to invite you to dinner. You don't have to be my best friend. And I don't need your opinion or your input on something. And sometimes we know this person, all right? Everyone knows this person. You're doing something, you're trying to figure something out, and somebody comes by and says, "Oh, you know what? It would be better if you did it that way." Or "I know the best way to do things," right? We all know somebody like that. And you get like, okay, if they say one more thing, they're going to find my fist. Okay, stop. Whoa, where are we going? We're going to lower our vibe to match theirs. No, we're going to raise our vibration. And here's how we do it. You take a nice deep breath, you relax your physical body, and you're like, okay, I don't need to prove anything to this person, but I can be polite and say, thank you so much for your suggestion. I'll think about it. And then you go on your merry way and you do your own thing. Because if you don't match their vibe, they don't come back. Vibrations, it's like kinetic. You try to touch Mercury. Ever break a thermometer? I mean, I remember being a kid and I dropped a thermometer and the mercury's rolling around and I went to pick it up. I didn't know you couldn't do that. Number one, because you don't want to touch Mercury. But number two, that you can't do it because it repels. So if you are repelling someone or someone is repelling you, you don't need to match their vibe to get your digs in or to prove that you're not the person they think you are, because then okay, then we go off into a world that has nothing to do with the truth. I hope that makes sense. Hey, who else? Hi, Miss Annie. My natal chart doesn't have any planets in Taurus. Then what do I look at when I hear astrologists say, look at Taurus in your chart? I'll show you right now. That's a great question. Thank you. And thank you, Terry, for yours. Okay, so here's a chart of today. In fact, for 7:02 a.m. this morning. All right, we're a little beyond that, but let me just match the time. I did it so that it would be equal because I can't put my finger on this chart to show you. But Taurus is right here. Oh, sorry. Taurus is right there. That's Taurus, right? So we have Sun in Taurus. We've got Uranus in Taurus. We have Mercury in Taurus. We have the North Node in Taurus. And the cusp of this house is Taurus. You have the cusp of a house that has Taurus on it. So, and by degree. So because the solar eclipse is 10 degrees of Taurus, and I forget how many minutes, but let me check. The solar eclipse we're already in the vibe of on April 30th is in Taurus, right? Oh, I had the page open already. And it is 10 degrees, 28 minutes. Okay, so if you look at going backwards, it's just making me nuts. So if you look at the cusp of any house, there's a cusp of a house, there's a cusp of a house. Now, I use equal house astrology. If you're looking at any other version aside from whole sign, and we're not talking Vedic, that's a completely different system. But in astrology, I'm using equal house. If you're using Placidus, you may have uneven house distribution. So each house, each pie on the wheel, looks different. I use equal house. Okay. So we've got 24 degrees, 35 minutes here at this particular chart. And that's going to be the same for every cusp. Somewhere in your chart, you have Taurus. You look at the degree, which is the bigger number, and then the minutes. And let's say your Taurus energy falls in the first house for the eclipse at 10 degrees. In this chart, it would be right up here in the 12th house. And then so that house gets activated with those definitions. So you do have Taurus in your chart. You have every sign in your chart. You may not have a planet or a sphere, such as the sun or the moon, or the north or south node, or the part of fortune, but you certainly do have Taurus in your chart. I hope that helps. Okay, Kate says, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. Latanja's laughing at something I said. Okay. I don't know what it is because I'm not always looking at the time. Great explanation. Okay. Christine, Taurus is the 8th house in my natal chart, keeping on the high side for the coming eclipse. Yes. So again, 10 degrees, 28 minutes is where this eclipse takes place. Now, it's going to happen for everyone, whether or not you have Taurus, sun, rising, moon, Mars in Taurus, Venus in Taurus, Saturn. It doesn't matter what you have in Taurus. Eclipses are portals of energy. And I'm just going to make this a little smaller. Can I? No, I actually made me smaller. Okay, let's just do that. Okay. And thank you for your questions. I really appreciate this. So if you have Taurus, let's say your Taurus, what did you have? Taurus is the 8th house in your natal chart. Okay, so let's say you have Taurus at 15 degrees. You would look at where's 10 degrees, and we only go up to 30 degrees. That's what each house equals, 30 degrees. So 29 degrees, 59 minutes. So if you've got Taurus in your 8th house and you have planets, and this is the interesting thing about eclipses, is that if you may not have any Taurus planets, like I said, like Miss Annie was talking about, but it will activate that general section of your chart so that you can say, maybe it's the 4th house and you say, oh, I see. So that would be home and family, my 4 walls. Maybe it's time for decoration, or maybe it's a renovation time. Maybe I just got, a tax check, a bonus, and now I can redo the kitchen, or maybe I'm going to set up workshop at home instead of working outside all the time, right? So wherever it gets activated, the solar eclipse represents what you have been manifesting consciously and acting on consciously. Also, what you're unaware of, that's the lunar eclipse, and the solar deals with masculine energy, your own proactive, or an actual man. Or a dynamic situation that's out in the open under the light of day, sun, solar. Now, the lunar eclipse on May 15, 16, depending on where you are in the world, or the 14th, let me see. It's in Scorpio, and that is at 25 degrees, 18 minutes on the 15th. Also, that is Pacific time, but it could be the 16th if you're in Australia or somewhere down under. So, but we're in it. We're in it for months. And especially because the north and south nodes, let me show you again, the north and south nodes, it looks like headphones, right? Headphones, or lucky horseshoe, is in Taurus, and completely on the other side, it's south node is in Scorpio. So the nodes represent the open doors to your karmic future. And karma is not good or bad. It's not, you got to pay for it because years ago, another lifetime, you did something wrong. It doesn't work like that. That is not karma. Karma is the action you take upon the path. And if it is incomplete because another person is involved, then that will come back around. That's why I like to add eclipses with Mercury in retrograde. Wow. That is very telling, because it's your energy, it recycles itself, it comes back. And so if you are looking at the eclipse and saying, oh, my 8th house, Taurus, well, that can be the doorway to spirituality. Maybe you start thinking about things differently. The old way of looking at astrology is this thing is happening to you and, good luck. Now, you can become aware of things. And I used to promote that because, I've been an astrologer. I started studying when I was 10 and 11, actually. And I will be on May 1st. What am I saying? May 3rd. I don't even know my own birthday. On May 3rd, I'll be 62. So I've been practicing astrology for a long time, but always looking at what are the deeper definitions, because, the 6th house in astrology 2,000 years ago was about slaves and the work and the toil. Now it's about your health and about pets. And so, we have to upgrade our definitions based on who we are psychologically, emotionally, intellectually, spiritually. And a lot of times when we have too much technology, right? When we have too much technology and we rely on, the texting and the scrolling and okay, Harvard says now 7 to 10 seconds is the average attention span for the person of today. 7 to 10 seconds, where it used to be without technology, before technology. Not that it was any easier, because you had to grow and cut and kill and cook your own food. And that took time and toil. But without technology, our minds were in a different place. Psychologically, we were feeling different. Chemically, we were different, right? We don't have cell towers everywhere. 5G is going to be a nightmare for some people. So be very aware of that. Now, in my phone, I'm off on a tangent, but I want to show you something. I'm taking off my phone case. Hang on. Hey, remember to like, share, subscribe, whether you're watching this on YouTube, whether you're watching it on Facebook, or you see this in a replay on Instagram. Okay, I've got a Shungite plate This Shungite plate, Shungite is a natural mineral that repels EMF waves. Okay. And it's got a sticker thing, which I don't attach to the phone because, you know, I just don't want to do that. But I still put it in my phone. And I have a radiation device thing, an EMF thing, and I tested it, works great. So you want to be aware of technology and how it can affect and this has been proven in science, the communication between your cells. They need to talk to each other. Sometimes with EMF waves, microwaves, we got rid of ours. Cell phones, cell towers, televisions, all the technology we have, our iPads, all the play stuff, the PlayStation, whatever it is, it's creating disruption between the cells in our bodies. So we have more anxiety now than ever before. We have more illness now than ever before. We have less grounding. We're spacier. We're angrier. We're not as physically healthy. There's more obesity in this planet. So let's just be aware of the choices we are making. I'm not saying don't have technology. I'm saying be aware of what it can do to your body, and then you make the adjustments. Just like with astrology, we grow, we make adjustments. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to take a moment. Okay, the biggest thing to know about this, because I want to talk about the Mercury in retrograde. If you have any other questions, please ask. Come join us. Say hello. Elaine Marolakos Edelson here with AstrologyMojo. I want to help you get your mojo back. And the way to do that is to be as present as possible in as many moments as possible and understand that you, yes, you are an eternal celestial being. You are pure conscious love. You are an extension of the light. I'm not talking religion, although that can help a lot of people, but it can be limiting. I'm talking light. Light equals your energy. And that pure conscious love that you are can perform miracles. Then the head gets in the way. Well, she said that, and I gave her all those things, and I never got a gift. And it's like, shh, calm it down. You know why? Because that makes chaos. That chatter makes chaos. Now there's drama. Drama breaks up the chaos. Melodrama keeps you stuck in it. Do you understand the difference? When we have an eclipse, a solar eclipse in Taurus, it's all about values and security. It's all about where do I feel my self-worth? Where do I really value myself and what I'm doing and where? And we would look at an astrology chart to see, which house is it in that would activate the topics. Because as I started to say earlier, the solar eclipse sheds the light on what you've been manifesting from the last set of solar eclipses 6 months ago. And the lunar eclipse casts a glow. It's a feminine energy. It's softer. It's more emotional. And depending on the sign that it's in, can represent for you a total makeover, a wow, aha. It's like, that is toxic. And I'm never going to do that again. I had a client once. Well, she's often on her own, but she wrote a book. It's hysterical. Karen Rowe wrote this book, and it's called I Don't Hate Myself Enough to Date You. Gemini. I love that title. And so think about what the things in your life that get your attention. That's the solar eclipse. What are the open doors? Now, sometimes things happen in a solar eclipse and they shock you. And I've spoken about this before. And people will say, I don't know, that came out of nowhere. It's like, well, your unconscious state is like, people will say that came out of the blue, but your unconscious state is all shades of blue. So there are parts of you that are emitting a frequency. Do I need to turn on the toy again to show you? There are parts of you emitting a frequency that have nothing to do with your conscious thoughts. This is also proven. 95% of the energy that you output is unconscious, subconscious, non-conscious. 5% is conscious. So you think you're in control and that you keep attracting the same kind of people, the same boss, the same girlfriend, boyfriend, lover, the same job. It's because your frequency, the majority of your frequency is outputting a vibration that says, this is what I'm worth, value, security. This is what I value. This is what I want to create, desire. That's a Scorpio. Lunar eclipse could be a woman, could be a feminine energy, could be you. Whether or not you have Scorpio in planets, sun, rising, moon, part of fortune. Does this make sense? Can you just let me know if this is making sense? If this is, because if I'm confusing you or bringing up other questions, I want to hear those questions about how it works so that you understand how to manifest something. You want to manifest more money. There are people will tell you, oh, you take like $10 bills and you put them in the corner of your desk and you look at them every day. And that brings that idea of money to, well, okay, that's a thing. You could do that. But how about we go inside? How about we go inside and say, what part of you doesn't feel like you're worth it? What part of you says, has a contradiction? What part of you says, oh, I totally am worth making more money. And then you go out and you buy something on a credit card that you can't pay for. So the contradiction is always going to come back to you. And there's no judgment on it. We've all been there. So here's my forever statement. I was you yesterday. I am you today, or I will be you tomorrow. And that stops me from judging. There might be a split second in my head that says, and then I stop and go, like yesterday, I was in a store, a very big store, and I had a cart filled because parts of it were for donation, the other parts were family, me, my husband, whatever. So there's so much stuff. Now, there's two people in front of me online at the cashier. There's not many checkouts open. And there is a woman who's maybe late 60s, and she is very overweight, and she's sitting in a chair. And this is not a judgment. And she's sitting in a chair, one of those electric things, to help her get around because she was struggling. And she was trying to move the motor chair behind me. And I said, is you just have one thing? Why don't you just go in front of me? And she was like, really? And I said, yeah, sure. I don't mind. I'm not in a hurry. And plus, I have a lot. You have one thing. And she goes, but I'm also going to get cigarettes, which implied two things. One, she wanted to give me the courtesy of saying it's going to take longer than just one thing. And two, that, wait, what was the other thing? Oh, and that she was being kind. She was being thoughtful to give me that courtesy to say, so that's actually not two things. That's one thing. I don't know why I broke that down. Anyway, and I thought, there was a split second. It wasn't even a full thought that said, when she said, well, I'm going to get cigarettes. And the split second was, but those are your lungs, not mine. But then that stopped and it was like, no, please go ahead. I don't mind, really. So that was a split second, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago. I would have thought, oh my gosh, you're going to smoke and you can't even walk. Come on, do something kind for yourself. But that wasn't there yesterday. That wasn't there. It was just like, I want to be as kind as possible in as many moments as possible. And if I am tired, cranky, hungry, and those three commonly go together for me, if I'm tired or I'm hungry, I will get cranky. And that crank will want to produce that thought of, I'm not giving you broom. I'm tired. I got to go home. Right? So you want to think about your actions because you're the one responsible. The planets don't make you do anything. They just show, as in, watch this, as in, and I'll read your comment in a second, Christine. Okay, so let's just say this is someone's birth chart, and we have a Taurus sun, a Taurus rising, and a Capricorn moon in this chart. Hey, wait a minute. Okay. And I would look at the chart and say, oh, look at all that Taurus in the 12th house. They're a very private person. And they have some stuff going on with Uranus because the communication between their conscious and non-conscious self is questioning what they know, what they value, and how to express it. And so when the solar eclipse comes along, and I would say, wow, look, the solar eclipse is going to activate 10 degrees, within 8 degrees is an activation, is going to activate your Uranus, especially, and your Mercury, but your Uranus. So it's going to be mind-blowing thoughts of, oh, now I know why I do this thing. Now I know why. Now I know why. As long as you know why. Because if you don't know why and you keep doing it, then you will wind up attracting the same stuff that you have forever. And that's not a judgment. That is a scientific fact. So how do you want to be? When I look at eclipses, I get excited, especially with Mercury in retrograde, because the retrograde doesn't mean everything's going to go haywire. It means you're going to bypass your thoughts. Because a retrograde, and I talked about this before, but a retrograde is a Latin word, and it means to step back. So the planet is not actually moving backwards, but because of who we are, well, there we are. But because of who we are on the ecliptic around the sun, every planet moves at a different speed in an oval shape around the sun, and sometimes it looks like one planet is going faster and surpassing the other one that might be further away, like two airplanes in the sky. They're both going 700 miles an hour, and they're both going in the same direction, but one is many miles further away than the other one. So the one closer to you is going to look like it's going faster. That's what a retrograde looks like. But in essence, energetically, we get sidetracked, we get distracted. And why is that? Is it because the planet's doing it? No, it's because it's our timely experience to go within. So there are many planets retrograde at different times, and we're coming up on a Pluto retrograde in May as well, along with the Mercury in retrograde. So it's not just Mercury that goes retrograde, but when Mercury is retrograde, you want to see in your chart where it will be retrograde first in Gemini and then a retrograde back into Taurus. So let's see what that looks like before we close up for today. Any other questions? Christine says, thank you for mentioning spirituality for the 8th. I have Neptune at 16 degrees in the second house, oppositionist to the eclipses. Yeah, within 8 degrees. So that is opposite. Gives you a lot to ponder. Yeah, and feel, because you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it. Everybody will feel this. So let's look at this. We're going to move this in real time. And so keep your eye on Mercury right there. It's going to move. Okay. Let me just set this up to make sure. Whoop. All right. Oh, well, now it's further down. So Mercury is about to go retrograde, and let's go a little faster. There it is, retrograde in Gemini, and then it moves, I think on the 23rd of May, it moves into Taurus. So wherever Gemini is, wait a minute. Let's go back here. Okay, so where is Mercury? 3, I think it might be 4 degrees. 8th, 9th, 10th. I'm just counting. Whoopsie. Oh my gosh. Sorry about this, folks. I'll go back another. So let's say from 3 degrees Mercury, 3 degrees Mercury. I'm sorry, 3 degrees Gemini, 3 degrees Gemini. Something has gotten hold of my brain. So anywhere in your chart from 3 degrees Gemini to, let's go a little faster. Oops, going to bleep through. Okay. To, where's Mercury? 25 degrees. Let's just say 25 degrees. 3 degrees Gemini to 25 degrees Taurus is where the retrograde will occur for you in your chart. So that's going to be between 2 houses because of Gemini and Taurus. So wherever that is, it's going to create, no, it's not going to create. You will feel, let's just do it that way. You will feel something return. Retrograde means to look back or to return. So what will return in your world? What's going to return? Now, it can be a feeling, a perception, a thought, because before we could, people say Mercury is the planet of communication. Mercury is the planet that represents the part of you that perceives in order to know how to act. Acting would be Mars, but how to speak, Mercury. How to think, how to formulate a plan. So you look at something and you go, that man is beating that dog. Oh my gosh. And then, it's like you want to take pictures and take a movie and post it somewhere and go, he's just horrible. And then you realize that dog is rabid and trying to attack his child. Now the guy's a hero. So your perception may not be on par with what the actual truth is. So you want to reserve judgment and gather as many facts as you can. Now, I don't know why. I still don't know why construction springs up when Mercury shows up, Mercury in retrograde. It's almost like a joke. It's almost like a scheduled sitcom that says, all right, let's block that road. and you go down that road to get somewhere faster. And you're like, what just happened? How come you do not enter? How come there's construction? What just happened? It can be very funny. Just pay attention in a Mercury in retrograde. But when we've got the eclipses and the retrograde together, then we're looking at, oh, something from my past, the way I think, the way I feel, is vibrating a certain frequency. And the solar eclipse is going to be talking about my values and security and my self-worth and aesthetically pleasing things, Taurus, romance, food, design, art, things like that. And then Scorpio casts a glow, and we feel that lunar eclipse like the tide, and it's in a water sign. So my body is going to feel blown out. Maybe I'm going to feel like I need a bath or a shower, or I'm drinking too much water and I feel bloated, or maybe I want to cry, or maybe I'm just done with those people who whine and complain, and I'm done with that emotion and they're not changing. So you want to gauge where the eclipses are, and they are always opposite, in tandem, 2 weeks apart, every 6 months. Sometimes we have 3 in a row. I call it a sandwich. Does that make sense? And see where you are. All right, folks, I'm going to be back next week at the end of the month. Every month, pass it along. It will be the 28th, and we'll be knee deep in the solar eclipse in Taurus, but I'm going to give oracle readings like I do every month. So come with your question. You don't have to say what it is, but come with your question, and I will have 3 decks of cards, or perhaps runes, or the astro dice. And you can get some clarity on an issue, especially during the time of an eclipse. All right, folks, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, and spread the word that I'm here. I want to help. And in the meantime, if you don't have, oh, hi, Lucy. Yeah, you're welcome. If you don't have your natal chart, you can get a free natal chart at my site right there, astrologymojo.com. We are reworking the site, so please understand that some things may not be updated, but on the homepage, you can definitely get your free chart. Okay. Thanks for being here, folks. Thank you for being, and I will see you next week.